So, this evening we're gonna talk a little bit more about hindrances. The hindrances on our path. We talked about one already in the past days, and that was drowsiness is one of those hindrances. Being tired, being drowsy, being not clear. And I think most of you have experienced that. Not just because they just arrived and are jet-lagged, but more calmness in the mind means also that the mind is not so clear if it is not in balance. So, one hindrance, drowsiness, sleepiness. The second hindrance is restlessness. That is mainly in the beginning. The first day probably you all experienced restlessness. The mind is not peaceful, not calm, it's restless. It's moving all the time, thinking all the time. Restlessness. Then the third hindrance is doubts. We have doubts, maybe you have experienced that too. Doubts about ourselves, can we do it or not? Doubts about the teacher, is she or he good enough? Doubts about the practice, about the place, about many things. All kind of things can make us be doubtful. It's also a hindrance. Then the fourth hindrance is desire. Of course, that's always there, having desire for something pleasant. We would like to have a more pleasant place, more pleasant food that leads to more pleasant feelings, or desire for having a peaceful mind, not experiencing pain. There's all kinds of things we want, we wish for. That's also happening all the time. And the last one, anger, aversion, comes also up. Sure, if we have desires, we want things to be in a certain way, then we are bound to be disappointed. If they are not this way, anger rises, or aversion. We don't like it. We don't like the place, the food, the teacher, the teaching, the neighbor, whatever. Mosquitoes. Many things we dislike in such a place. And actually these 5 hindrances, they are there in our life all the time, not just in the practice. But maybe they show themselves more when you practice meditation. You have not much else to do, so only observing your mind, observing your so-called self, and then you see it much clearer that these things come up. But the hindrances are not a really good thing, and I think you might be clear about it. They obstruct our path, our progress. It does not help you by meditating when you have one of these hindrances. Or many of you, maybe all of them, so it's not very helpful. And so we have to deal with them. So there are certain techniques how we can overcome hindrances. Overcoming drowsiness, I spoke a little bit about it already, by increasing energy. If you have more energy, then you're not so tired. And so how do we do that? One thing is, of course, by doing walking meditation. So you learn walking meditation every day with Ajahn Manfred, so you know what to do. But even with the walking meditation, we have different steps in this technique, so concentration increases with each step we do. So today I think you did the 3rd step of this Mahasi method, and that is quite a lot of concentration again. So it might not be very helpful to overcome drowsiness, because you are very focused on lifting your heel, lifting your leg, moving forward, placing it, so focus is getting even stronger. But if you do it in a skillful way, as Manfred was surely telling you, then you are very aware of each part of it and really see beginning of the lifting of the leg and the end of it, beginning of moving forward and the end, beginning of placing your leg and the end. So you have many points where you focus on, and that increases energy again. So that is one way. But of course, if you still feel too tired, then walk a low step, just walking, right, left, walk fast. But be aware. Normally walking fast for us means we are not aware. We think of something and just walk from one place to the other, but we are not aware of walking because we know how to walk. We don't need mindfulness to walk. So important when you walk fast is that you really are aware of the stepping, aware of moving. Then other tricks, there's a story from the Buddha time about the Venerable Moggallana. He was the left-hand disciple. The main disciples of the Buddha were Sariputta, the right-hand disciple with the most wisdom, and Moggallana was the left-hand disciple with the most psychic powers. So he had very, very powerful concentration. Sariputta had the wisdom. He had almost 50% of the wisdom of the Buddha, they were saying. And Sariputta and Moggallana, 50% of the psychic powers, in about, probably. So Moggallana, when he practiced it, before he reached enlightenment, he had a lot of trouble because his concentration was very powerful, but his energy was not keeping up with the concentration. And so he got very tired. He had this strong drowsiness. And so the Buddha seeing it, and him probably coming to the Buddha, asking him about it, he gave him some instructions how to overcome this drowsiness. And he said, the first thing, when you feel drowsy, open your eyes, let light come in. Clear, a light gives energy, so it's a good advice. Any light, candle light, or the light of the lamps, the light of the moon, the sun, whatever. It should be light. If there's darkness, it's easier to go into a state of murkiness and not being clear. But with light, it's easier to stay alert. If that doesn't work, he say, then get up and do walking meditation. If the walking meditation doesn't bring you more energy, then go wash your face with cold water. Wake up. And if that also doesn't work, then have a cold shower. A real good cold shower wakes you usually up. And if that doesn't work, he say, take the feather of a chicken and steer your ears. Please don't get all the feathers from the chicken here in the temple. There are only a few. And anyway, they don't have many feathers, so leave them in peace. A cotton bud will also do it. So just steering in your ear. But really, you have to try it. It gives you energy. It stimulates all these nerves in the ear, and it's like kind of waking you up. So that's what he also said. And then he said, and if that also doesn't work, and you have tried all these things, then go to sleep. Because then probably the reason is really physical. You haven't had enough sleep, or you have eaten too much, digestion doesn't work proper, or any kind of other physical imbalance can also cause tiredness. But what we have to be careful with, if you go to sleep in daytime because you are too tired to meditate, do it only one wake up. That means you lie down, fall asleep, and as soon as you wake up, get up and continue. And you will see, if you try that, maybe it's only 10 minutes that you sleep. Just a short so-called power nap. And then get up. If you turn around and a little bit more, you will be even more tired, if it's in daytime. So that's not so good. But do that sleep just until you wake up, and then get up and try it again. So these are advices of the Buddha to his left-hand disciple, the Mahamoggallana. And it helped him. He reached enlightenment, and he was a very great arahant. So what about restlessness? If the mind is restless and busy and thinking all the time, we need to increase concentration, focus. In such a case, it's good to sit more, and it could be useful to use more objects. Like I said the other day, I think to you or whoever asked, when the mind then is restless, don't just focus on in and out breaths or rising and falling of the abdomen, but use more points to focus on. Because sometimes the breath is not clear, we can't see it clear. It's very subtle or whatever. So not a real good point to focus on. And then we can use other things, like whatever, if you do rising and falling, observing this expanding and contracting movement, and then use a third mental mode, touching. Feel how your buttocks touch the ground, the chair, wherever you sit. And then back, rising, falling, touching. If that is not enough, you could even add more touching points, like rising, falling, touching, sitting, and become aware of the body in sitting posture. Just once, having a view of this body in sitting posture. It can be just one moment. So we can increase concentration by filling these spots between one breath and the next, or one in-breath and out-breath, or out-breath and the next in-breath. We feel these slots where there is no object with an object. So the mind can't escape. That is also one thing we can do. Then if you are in a retreat, usually a teacher will tell you how to balance the mind in times of meditation. So, as I said the other day, we should do meditation in 4 postures: sitting, walking, standing, and lying. And the sitting posture gives the most energy, because your mindfulness is always in movement. You move and bring mindfulness from one leg to the next, one step to the next. So it has to move. So that pumps up the energy. Whereas sitting is so subtle, so fine, the breath can become very fine, and then hard for us to see, and we might fall asleep. So walking, more energy; sitting, more concentration. The standing meditation is pretty balanced. You gain both energy and concentration, and what is very good, a lot of patience, because it's the least easy posture. It's not so easy to sleep away while standing. Might happen, but hopefully not. And it's not so easy to sleep away while walking, but some people can. I have experience myself. So it can happen. But normally these two postures, it's harder to become drowsy and sleep away. Whereas if you're tired, don't use the lying posture, because obvious reason we might sleep away. So lying, not if you're tired. And sitting, if you're tired, you have to really increase energy through any of these tools I've given you. And the teacher will tell you that. So if a student comes, and normally we say same time. You start with 30 minutes walking, 30 minutes sitting. But if then the student or the disciple starts to get very tired, the teacher will say, okay, now 40 minutes walking and maybe only 20 minutes sitting, because sitting gives more concentration and because the walking gives more energy. So you balance it through the times you use for these postures. On the other hand, if you're very restless, then the teacher might advise you that you should sit more and walk a bit less to increase the concentration, not so much focus on the energy. The problem with these things is if we have a lot of restlessness, we don't want to sit because the body is restless, the mind is restless. We would rather stand up and walk. Walking is much nicer because the sitting is uncomfortable. But that's exactly the time you should sit. And when someone has a good concentration and mind is a little bit not so clear anymore, because you fall into this beautiful, nice state of concentration, everything feels very soft and nice, and so then these people, when you tell them more walking, no, they don't want to walk. They want to stop walking at all because it's so pleasant to be in this state. But they should walk more. So it's not always what you want that is good for you. So just be aware of that. So overcoming restlessness by bringing more concentration to your meditation. And then, desire, the hindrance of desire, it's coming all the time, You sit and then would like to do this, would like to be on the beach, would like to have a nice drink now, or whatever. Any kind of things are coming up. I had a student once. He was a Swiss guy and he was a cook, so really a star cook, a really good one. Came for meditation, and then when he started to practice, it came to me. He came to the interview and he said, I don't know what happened, but when I sit, I see all these little cooks going around and cooking and making nice food. And it was clear the hindrance of desire was becoming very strong. He would like to eat all these nice foods. So something like that can also happen. It was funny. So, desire for everything. I think maybe you have realized how important food becomes when you do a retreat. The only change. What will we have for food? And if it's not nice, then So by observing, we try to overcome this desire. Seeing there's desire arising, what does it do to you? Observe yourself. What kind of feelings arise inside you, unpleasant feelings? What does it do to your body? You don't want to sit, you get restless. So, when you see that, the mind will slowly turn away from desire. And with anger, it's the same, kind of the same. You see anger, aversion arising. It's because you can't get what you want right now. That's why anger, aversion arises. then there are methods how we can practice when there's a lot of anger. We have some people here who have really a lot of anger issues, and there are good advices how they could learn to deal with it. A good meditation is the metta meditation that we did the other day. Meditating on loving kindness will help you to reduce anger. Loving kindness, metta, is the best medicine to get rid of anger, to reduce it. Desire, on the other hand, a good meditation is what we did this afternoon, contemplating the body, the 5 outer objects or the bones or whatever, seeing the true nature of the body, that it is impermanent, suffering, non-self. That also helps you to reduce desire, greed, attachment to body, to food, to whatever. So these are methods to deal with that. And then the 5th hindrance, the doubt. Doubts, how to overcome doubts. Well, usually through having a little bit of faith, of trust. So if there are doubts, okay, is this the right thing for me? Is this the right teacher, the right method, whatever? They destroy your meditation. You cannot calm down and get a deeper level of insight. So you are here now. You came because you want to learn something, you want to go a spiritual path, and you want to reach a good level of peaceful mind or whatever your intentions are. And this will only work if you work on that path. And doubts will put a hindrance. You will stop. There are too many doubts, then you will stand up and go. And you haven't seen much yet. So if you don't know what's coming out of this whole practice, try it out. You have to try it out. Put a bit of faith into your practice and try it. And don't run away if immediately if doubts come up. So that is advice to deal with these doubts. And then there is a good story of our teacher here, Sorn Thawee. Very, very good teacher. It was our both teacher, more than 30 years ago. And he had this nice simile, what's up to this hindrances. He said it's like there is a chariot, and in front of the chariot are 4 horses. And these 4 horses are 2 groups of horses. One group of horse is energy, the other horse is concentration, and the other group of horses are faith and wisdom. And these are the powers we need to progress. The 5th power is mindfulness. So these 5 powers will bring you straight to the cessation of all suffering. But as long as hindrances are there, they don't work. They won't be able to be your power. And so imagine this chariot with the 4 horses, and the 5th power sitting on the chariot, holding the reins of the horses. That is mindfulness. So when mindfulness sits there and has the reins and has a whip in his hand, mindfulness sees now the horse of energy runs too fast, and the horse of concentration is too slow. A hindrance arises immediately. This hindrance is restlessness. So mindfulness uses the whip on the horse concentration and pulls the rein on the horse energy. On the other hand, if the horse concentration is too fast and energy too slow, then drowsiness arises. So again, you have to put the whip on the horse, concentration on the horse, energy, that it runs faster, gets stronger, and hold the reins on concentration, otherwise get even more tired. And the other two horses, the same. If faith runs too fast, which I experience often here in Asia actually. Many people here in Thailand, faith is very strong. They see a monk, they see someone in a robe, then they have faith. And whatever they say, yes, that's it, I believe it. Belief is very strong. So it's not just faith, it's belief. And that means this horse, faith, runs too fast. So automatically the horse wisdom, knowledge is too slow. And then you come in a state of believing everything. Like this man we had here who had seen the Buddha. He meditated, saw the Buddha, went to the teacher, oh, I saw the Buddha. And the teacher said, seeing, 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 note, seeing, let it go. He did it again. Sit down, see the Buddha, went to the teacher. And he did that 3 times until Sorn Thawee said, if this guy comes again, bring him to me. Just to make clear, this is just a mental picture. And he didn't understand that. He was just having faith. There was the Buddha coming to him, so a lot of progress in his practice. This is a typical thing that can happen if we have too much faith. Others see light and think, now I got it, I'm enlightened, or things like that. And then the problem can also be that they won't listen to a teacher anymore, because they even think they are much further than the teacher already, because they experience all these special things, and the teacher says it's only seeing. Oh, can't be. So there's a danger in that. And on the other hand, you guys are usually more on the knowledge side. Most of the Westerners are on this knowledge side. So they want to know all the time. Why is this and why is that and why do I have to do this? And need to know everything. They ask questions. What is Nibbana? How should I tell you what is Nibbana? It's like if I tell you I've never eaten chocolate, tell me now how chocolate tastes, what it tastes like. You might say, oh, this and that, maybe a bit sweet, a bit this and whatever, but I don't know it. As long as I haven't eaten chocolate, I will never know what it is. So we have to practice to realize these things, to really know it. So questioning is good. The Buddha encouraged question things, but not to an extent that you are not practicing anymore because you want to know everything before you ever started with your practice. And there's also a good story from the Buddha time when there was this man who was shot with a poisonous arrow, and then people came to help him. They tried to pull out the arrow, but he said, no, first I want to know what is the arrow made of, who shot it, who are the parents of the person who shot the arrow, what is the poison that is on it, and why did they shot it, and where do they live, and He died, because wanted to have all these questions answered. Not possible. So first aid, pull out this poisonous arrow, and then you can maybe research the whole other things. So that is an example for having that part too strong. But doesn't say blindly believe. Buddha never wanted that. He didn't want sheeps that follow the whatever. So he often said, don't believe in what anyone says, just because they can talk well, just because they are famous, or just because, even for himself, just because the Buddha said that, don't believe it, try it out. And then you can see if it's true or not. So that's very, very cool. I found that very good. Yeah. So if this knowledge thing is too much, increase your faith. And there are certain things we can do. We can think of, for some people it works, especially here. They sit in front of a Buddha statue and observe the Buddha statue. Maybe contemplate on what we call Bhuttanusati, the qualities of a Buddha, what he could do, how he was. There's one of the chantings in the chanting book. It's called Bhuttanusati, and it explains what the Buddha was able to do and what is so great about him. So that can help some people to increase faith. Yeah. So yes, when these two horses, faith and wisdom, don't run even, as I said before, faith too strong, then not enough wisdom, the knowledge too strong, then not enough faith. So mindfulness, the most important of the powers, has again the duty to work. Mindfulness has to see, now my tendency to question everything is too strong. Reduce it, have a bit of faith and continue. Or my tendency to trust and believe everything is too strong, then okay, put in a little bit of contemplation, a bit of contemplate about the things that you experience here. If this man had contemplated on, okay, is this the real Buddha? Can I touch him? Is there anything? Then he would say, see, it's just a mental image, that's it. So that's how we deal with these things. And if these four horses run even, it's very quick that we can reach our goal. So that then they turn, all the hindrances turn into powers. So instead of hindrances you have powers, and then the practice is really running smooth. And you will experience sometimes after some days of meditation, everything goes really pretty smooth. Then mostly the powers are working. And then there is something, the meal was too delicious, so down, energy gone, back in the hindrances, drowsy, want to sleep. So you know it, had too much food. Now I have to walk all afternoon, just walking until I get energy again. So observe it. It happens. But it's good to know it, and it's good to know there is a way to balance that. So these are the 5 hindrances and also the 5 powers. Important part of the teaching. But it must not be Buddha's teaching. This is every time you meditate. It's not dependent on that. It's just, this is natural truth. So you don't have to be a Buddha. I cite the Buddha sometimes because I'm in this club, so I have to speak about it, and I learned it through this way. But everyone who meditates can use this knowledge. No? That doesn't depend on belief anything. No? There is no rule in Buddhism to believe only in Buddha or whatever. No, not at all. Okay? So far to that. Then we can do the question-answer session. I need water.
Yes. Stop. Why is it not a good thing to follow your desires? I mean, if you want to be at the sea, why isn't it good to just book a flight and fly to the sea? Or if you want to have like a cake, why don't you get a cake? So you said like you should not follow your desires, or following your desires is a bad thing. Why isn't it like that?
Question was, why shouldn't we follow our desires? Like when you have the desire going to the beach or whatever, and just go to the beach. Why not? Huh? There is no problem. You can go to the beach, but not now. That's the only thing, you know. Because now you're in a retreat, you want to learn that, and our mind is very tricky. I said that in the first days. If things get a little bit itchy or not so comfortable, then we immediately want to escape from that. That's this mind I told the last days already, the chitta. This part of our mind that only follows these wishes, you know, there's desire for something, you're immediately gone and get it, animal mind kind of thing. And there is something you don't like, maybe it's sitting a lot or the heat or whatever, so okay, I don't like it, so run away. This is our kind of animal part. I mean, it's hard to say that, but we all have that. So that is the chitta, that is this instinctively following that. What I desire, the things that make pleasant feelings, I go for it. The thing that result in rather unpleasant feelings, I want to get rid of it. And if you want to train your mind, you have to go above that. Go above that, and there we use the other part, the mano part, the wisdom inside, or this ability of contemplating the situation, to think about it. And this is a very special thing that only we humans have. The animals don't have that. They always go after that, what they want, or run away from what they don't want or what they fear. But humans can think, and thinking is a very precious thing. So some think also, okay, when I meditate, then I should stop thinking. Thinking is bad. No, but right thought, a part of the Eightfold Path, right thinking. Thinking that leads to the cessation of suffering. And in this case, if you are here in a retreat, you say, okay, I give these 6 days and stay here and develop the mind. You will 100% have thoughts like that. And they will drag you out if you follow them. But then you have this positive, this wholesome, or this right thinking that says, nah, I came here, I want to learn something, why should I run away now? Try it. Have patience and go on. Even if it's now not so easy, I go on. So that is that part that is very helpful for you to learn to overcome things. So right now it would be this advice. But that doesn't say there's anything wrong about going to the beach. Go to the beach as much as you can. But when you decide to do that, then you do that. But if you make a decision like that, then okay, follow that. And if you learn to have a bit more control over this emotional mind, even if you go to the beach, it will be much easier there. Because when you go to the beach, I can tell you that there are many stupid people on the beach and you don't like them, or dogs that shit on the beach or whatever. There's always something that will make you again, don't like that, go away, maybe go back to the meditation center or go to the mountains or anything else that could bring me pleasant feelings. That's it. So there's always, that you will always escape, that's the thing. And that is something we should learn to train. Not always run away when things get a little bit difficult, but doesn't say you shouldn't have pleasures. Have. As long, there's only one rule here. As long as it doesn't cause suffering for others or yourself, then enjoy life as much as you want. There's nothing wrong. But also try to train the mind a bit, because this causes us so much trouble. This part of the mind following desires and anger and whatever, this emotional part. And it was always like that. And we have psychologists here, like Linda also. That is a big problem in people's lives, you know, because they follow this emotional mind all the time and have not much ability with this of contemplating that and overcoming these things that arise there. And that's one thing the Buddha taught that's very precious. He taught that it is possible to gain more control over that emotional mind and have more clarity, and don't have to follow, don't have to be a slave of your emotions. It's very precious. Freud did not really understand that. Freud said that he understood that there are two minds, emotional mind and the part of controlling, but he said you can't do anything against the emotional mind. And that is different from what the Buddha said in this case. He said you can only make it like find an outlet that is socially acceptable for these emotions, so that you don't do anything that harms others or whatever. But the Buddha said you can overcome it by right thought, by right contemplation. So this is really a very special thing. And on the 7th you can go to the beach. If you still want it. So yes, no problem. Have joy. And find a middle way. That's what I also speak about all these days. You know? Joy is good. But if you're only up to that, we become a little bit, I don't want to say stupid, but not very clever. Yeah. Any other question?
You already answered this in part, but going back to the conversation this afternoon about burnout and overwhelm, and when you find yourself with a lot of negative thoughts about past experiences, about emotional experiences, I know you said just put them to the side. Can you give us some advice on techniques of how, when you're in these moments, for example, you're waiting at a bus station and you have this stress and this worry in your mind, do you have recommendations for how to put it aside, how to process through it?
I repeat your question if I understood it right. Also about negative emotions and thoughts and stress and yeah. So and how to
moments when you're outside of your practice, when you're outside spaces where you are meditating, and just in your daily life, what recommendations?
How to deal with that if these things come up in your daily life, not just here in yeah, well, it's the same. If you are stressed, you have a lot of negativity or negative thoughts or fears or whatever, when these things come up. First, we have to become aware that this is actually anger. Also there's two main defilements, three actually, main root defilements we have. Desire, anger and delusion. And so fears or anxieties or this kind of stress is usually a part of anger. Not accepting the things as they are, not accepting the present situation as it is. So that is what is happening. And then when it happens in your life, yes, it's the same advice. Try to let it go. Try to let it be. And be with the thing that is just in front of you. Do your work, do your whatever you have to do, be with it. And try not to let the mind always go to this negativity or to these things you worry about, the things that are not done or the things that might come to me. If you're always stuck in with that, you just feed this feeling of fear, of anxiety, of stress. But if you learn to be more and more able to just place it, place the thing, I will take care of it when there's time, but now is the time to eat my meal. Now is the time to deal with this thing I have to work with, and then there is the time where I have to deal with that problem, and I do it. But when I'm finished with that, even if the problem is not gone, I can also place it and be present again, be in the present moment, start each time new, make a new beginning, and then it will become slowly easier. The tendency in some is very strong. In some, we all have it, but in some it's very strong, and it can really lead to you having a miserable life, more or less, because the mind is always worrying about something. And that is not that this person who is like that is bad or is miserable. It's just a condition. What we call ourselves is only conditions. Many conditions coming together, and the condition in that case is that there is a lot of worry in the mind. That's a condition. But the Buddha said you can untie this condition. You can get out of it by applying the right medicine in this case. Changing the mind slowly to a more wholesome or positive path. And that's you do, and you start to leave it for a while. Do it, make the effort. When a tendency is strong, it might be anger, but for some it's desire. The tendency very strong, you're always unhappy because you can't get the things you want. Then when it's strong, try to sometimes let the desire be, let the worry be, and try to be with what is in front of you. Try it. And of course, strong tendencies, you will be pulled into this worry again. Never mind. When you realize it, try to pull yourself out again. Just observe, there's worry. I know this state. It's worry. Or there's anxiety. I know it. I have experienced it. Try to let it go. When it pulls you in again, you pull yourself out. And with each time you pull yourself out of a negative emotion like that, your ability to pull yourself out will become stronger. So you create a new tendency, the tendency that goes against this stream of this cycle of being in this negativity, be it anger or be it desire. We have to make effort. So in the beginning, a lot of effort, again and again and again, and slowly it will reduce. There's no other way. There is no other way. But also stay on the middle path, especially when the tendency to anger and aversion is strong. And if you always fight against it, then you just increase the anger. So gentle, with kindness towards yourself. Do it again and again. So this middle way is really, it's something we have to be skillful. Also with desire. Sometimes you give yourself the beach, no problem. And then the next time you think about going to the beach, you say, I might sit a little bit in meditation. So both, a bit of sugar, a bit of whip, and slowly you will find your middle way. Metta is also a technique that can help, because developing loving kindness, metta, understanding for others, yourself, especially first of all for yourself, will increase this wholesome energy inside you. And then it will also be easier to place a negativity that is there. So you support yourself by bringing wholesome things into the mind. Any kind of wholesome thing. Practicing generosity or whatever. Then the mind has some joy, When I give something, I'm always very happy, So use that happiness, not just for being happy, but to increase the wholesome energy inside you. Store it there and then do something out of that wholesome energy. Makes it easier to let go. So we have to make this decision. Which way do I want to go? The way to suffering or the way to cessation of suffering? And I said that yesterday, 4 Noble Truths. You haven't been here yet, no? 4 Noble Truths, very important. You have suffering, the cause is always attachment. And you have the cessation of suffering, and the cause is always letting go. So decide, which way do you want to go? If you want to suffer, continue, be anxious and think a lot about and worry about the future and whatever. You will be 100% in the suffering. And if you don't, if you want to go to liberation, let go. Bring the positive in. Always easy to say. We have to do it too, I know. Okay? You anything to add?
Yeah, I would add a little bit. What we also maybe we have mentioned it already, but a nice method is to reduce
feeling or attachment to feeling, worry or anger, whatever. That is the attitude towards that feeling. So normally we react, we say, I feel angry, I feel worried, so you identify with it. So what you can do is, you make that object, let's say the feeling, you make it an object of contemplation. That means your attitude will be, there is anger, there is sorrow, there is worry. So in that very moment, you get a little distance to it already, emotionally. So, and if you train that often, continuously, now, I mean, if you train it, you become, this is what we call skillful, become more acquainted to that. Anytime the worry or anxious or suffer arises, you just say, there is worry or annoyance or sorrow or whatever. It's a good method to deal with it,
Any other question? Yes?
Sometimes you use the word also delusion, and I never really heard what it really meant. Do you want to say something about it the next days, or can you already explain what?
So the question was about, I sometimes speak about delusion. What's the meaning of delusion? Huh? Well, illusion is something you imagine, a mirage of whatever in the sun or anything. So it's a thing that has no reality. It's just the imagination. That is what we call illusion. But delusion is often used in the Buddha's teaching, means not seeing this thing in a correct way. So it's deluded. It's not that it is not there or whatever, but you don't see in deep what the real thing is here. Give an example. You say to me that I'm stupid. And what really happens when you say that to me is you open your mouth, you let sounds come out of your mouth. And I have an ear, and that ear still functions more or less. Heard too much hard rock, so it still works. And then this ear and your sound come in contact, and then hearing consciousness arises inside me. There's hearing. That's actually everything that happens. But then, because I still have ignorance, do not really understand everything completely, then inside me there's a reaction. And this reaction to the sounds I hear is unpleasant feeling arising. The identification, the words or these sounds which came over, the meaning of it is bad. I am stupid. This person say I'm stupid. So anger arises. Anger arises, and I don't want that. I don't like that if someone says that to me. And then it goes further out of that. I don't like that. I don't want that. I might stand up, or I might say something back to you. You are even more stupid. And so I create karma, because when I say that, when I do that, I have vachikam, we call it. I create karma by my speech, by offending you, by saying something bad. So that's not good. It will have a result. Next day he is coming and says, you are very, very stupid. Just because of the result of I told you that you are stupid too. So it's just the imagination. But that is out of this delusion. I don't really understand what's going on. Actually, it's sound, ear, coming in contact, hearing consciousness, nothing else. But my sanya, the part in me that identifies things, put it in certain drawers. This is good, this is bad, this is offensive, whatever. That came up and said, no. And then, of course, this ego comes up. Said it to me, I am not stupid. And the whole mess of suffering starts with that. So this comes out of delusion, not seeing the thing as it really is. If there wouldn't be delusion, I know it's just hearing. It comes in here and goes out there and goes to Manfred. and as wise as he is, it goes in here and it goes out there as well. So whoever wants to take it can take it, I don't. It's like a pile of dog shit. Someone puts it there. I won't touch it because I'm getting smelly. So if someone says something negative, it's just that. I don't touch it, so it's not my dog shit. So this is delusion that makes you act in a way because you don't understand the situation as it is.
And when, for example, like is it the same when you are getting criticized, that you are also just wanting like hearing it and just like don't react to it?
You have to use your wisdom as well, right thought, understanding. Okay, contemplate. If you are criticized, it's usually always a very good thing because it can improve your ability to do things. So listen to it and then contemplate, is this true? Then I can change something and make it better. Or is it not true? Or is it rubbish, just someone wanting to offend me? Then in and out. So yes, use your right thought to contemplate on it. Because not every critic is bad. It's usually can help us to improve. But if it's something that is completely useless, then just let it go. So far to delusion. And most of the things, or almost everything we experience in our life, we experience it with a deluded mind, because we don't see it as it really is. But to understand that, we have to practice and look deeper into body and mind, and we will see these things. We realize more and more, like the practice we did today with the 5 objects, we become more and more aware of that there is, when you look at that body, what is really a substance there? No? The hair you had as a baby, or the hair you have now, or not have now, or whatever, it's always changing. So how can I see there is a real self? There is Brigitte here. Is it the same Brigitte that was there with as a baby and will be there in a few years, very, very old? Contemplating on that, you will see more and more it's actually a wrong understanding of what is there. But without contemplating, we don't see it. We see it as we usually are trained. And this is changing if you practice more mindfulness. You will understand deeper and deeper these three, what we call trilakkhana, the 3 signs or the 3 characteristics of existence. That absolutely everything is changing. Absolutely everything is not satisfying because it changes. And that absolutely everything is not real self or substance because it's always changing. And this becomes more and more, and then delusion will be one day gone. You see all the time things as they really are. So that's delusion, a long story about delusion. Other questions?
How can you increase concentration? Because when I'm very new to meditation, and when we do the feeling part, how do I feel when you say it? How does it feel? I personally get everywhere. I start thinking about everything, and I find it difficult to come back. So I kept telling myself, "Come back. How do you feel? Come back. How do you feel?" And then I tell myself 10 times, but by then they are somewhere else in my body. So what do you suggest to get more focused?
Patience.
What is that?
Patience.
Patience.
Because it's normal. That's with everyone. Everyone is like that. That's normal. If you start it, the mind is always busy because it's used to be like that. Again, condition. Our mind is conditioned to be busy. Maybe you anyway are a very active person. You like climbing, sports, and so your tendency is maybe a bit more into this direction. So that's it. It's busy, but there's nothing wrong about it. Just try to train it to calm it down as well.
Do you say it out loud? Calm down, come back?
No, don't have to.
Not out loud, but in your mind, do you say like?
If it helps you, actually, yeah, if it helps you, you could do it. But actually, yeah, maybe it's up to what your tendency is. No? Some people speak to themselves and tell themselves. For me, I don't have to. You know, I just when I realize, okay, I'm anywhere else where I don't need to be, and then okay, I come back. If you force it and like you befehlen, order yourself, or I have to, you have to, so then the mind gets more aversion. So it's not a forcing that it needs the middle way. So whenever you see you're lost in thoughts, no problem, in that moment gently bring it back, like a little kid. The kid is running here and there, and then when you see it's getting a bit more dangerous, bring it back. Or they compare it with a horse, a wild horse. If you catch a wild horse, then the best method to train the horse is they first fix it around a tree, like a string around the tree, and let it run. It will jump and run, wants to get away. But if you do that for many hours, days, I don't know how long it needs. I never trained a wild horse except my mind. And after some days, it will calm down because it can't run away. And then slowly it calms down. And so that's the same with the mind. Just okay, let it run, and then when you realize it, come back. Be patient. Impatience is usually there because we count in time. There's time. We need to do it in this slot of time. We need to reach it within that time. But actually time is also a delusion. Time, I mean, how long do you think you're here now? Was it fast, or does it seem to be long already? It's so individually different, And sometimes you have the feeling time is going very, very fast. Happens. So time is also not a real thing. So don't worry about time, just do it. And be gentle to yourself, otherwise more anger and you don't want to do it.
Maybe I misunderstood you, but it sounded to me that your question was that you want to bring your mind to ask you, how do I feel? Because sometimes we say, now you walk, and or when you change your bodily posture, see how does it feel, and so what?
It's okay.
Yes, but the point is that looking how does it feel is not a thinking process that you sit or stand and then you inquire for 30 seconds or 40 seconds or 60 seconds, how do I feel now? Then you will become real restless. It's a shock. Just be aware about the feeling, but don't look for it, don't search it. It becomes, the more quiet the mind is, the more obvious, the more clear the feelings comes. But don't look, how does it feel now? I don't know, but I will think about it and search it and look for it. No. Then you become real restless, and just the opposite of concentration. Just give it a few moments. How does it feel? If there's no feeling, there's no feeling. Finish it. Don't search it. It becomes clear after a while by itself, really.
Okay. Other questions? Answer?
It's like two questions. So I was wondering, when you become a monk or a laity, do you have a training of meditation in like hard environments, like hot climate, like for super cold weather, or like crowded spaces where there's a lot of noise, like kind of hard areas where it's hard to focus? And my second question is about when we're going to get out of the meditation center, how many minutes or hours do you think we should practice to continue to improve our awareness and concentration?
The questions were, the first one was, if you become a monk or a nun or whatever, do you have a training of meditation in difficult places, like crowded places or whatever? If you have a, is that right? Was that the question? That was the first one, huh? And the second one was how much meditation should you practice once you leave the retreat or the center? Yeah, the first question, no, we don't have that anywhere outside in crowded places, but we do it just like her, huh? Looking inside, and that's the most busiest and crowded place that we can find, is inside our head. There's always chatter going on all the time, so that's the thing we train. But because the question was about monks, nuns, usually if you come to a temple and you want to become a monk or a nun, you are kind of trained for a while. Like, you have to be in white dress, like most of you are here now, and stay with these 8 precepts for a while, and they will kind of observe you. Are you monk's meat, or how you call it? Are you suitable to become a monk or not? Monk's material or not? Nun's material or not? But it's not always like that. But normally, especially when foreigners come and want to become a monk or nun, they check them out first, because it could be you're just coming to hang out here and have a good time in the temple and don't have to work or whatever. But for Thai people, it's so that it's a tradition that every male Thai has to become a monk once in their lifetime. And most do it. So at least for 3 weeks or something. Some only for 7 days if a relative dies, and then they become a monk in that time, in the 7 days of where they do the chantings for the deceased person or so. But everyone has to do it. In former time it was usually so that they had to do it for 3 months, one vasa, one rainy season. But nowadays many can't do it because they work, they can only take off 2 or 3 weeks, and then they do it just for that time. And then of course they are not observed for 3 weeks, and then they can't become a monk anymore. So it's a bit different. But normally it would have been like that. Since the Buddha time you observed if you're monk material and you can become a monk. So you won't bring shame on the temple or whatever. So there's training, but often it's not much with meditation. It's up to where you go. There are some meditation places, but most temples in Thailand are not really meditation places. They are social institution. The people go there to ask the monks something. They feed the monks to make merry. They go there when someone dies, or when they have a new car and want the monk to bless it, or things like that. So it's more a social institution. And that is good. Don't say anything negative. It's good that this is also in former time when people grow old. They became monks or nuns because, their duties were done and there is no pension or any kind of house for the old people, just for the rich people. So they would become a monk, and the others would take care. They could do good things for the rest of their life. Chanting, helping to clean the temple, doing some little generosity and things like that, which is perfect. No? But nowadays it's also getting a bit more difficult to go through with these things. Many rules that they don't want to ordain monks that are older than 60 years, and so, which makes it difficult. Yeah, so that's about that training. But there are people who train like that. Many sadhus in India, they sit in the middle of a crossing and where millions of cars go and toot 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 and whatever, trying to keep their mindfulness or their concentration. Of course, can try out many things. Going to the Himalayas, I go to Bhutan next week. And then when it's cold, you can sit in the snow, melt away the snow. So you can try it out. I never did it. I think I don't want to do it. But yeah, some ascetic do things like that.
The second question, my dear.
Was there one more?
Yes.
Meditation. Yes. How much meditation? Well, I always say do 5 minutes a day, at least. And everyone can do that. I made the mistake when I went back from my first retreat with Manfred, went back to Austria, and I thought 2 hours a day meditation, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, and then also 1 hour yoga in the morning and 1 in the evening. And I had 2 little kids at home who were 2 and 3 years old, so you can imagine how much deluded I was. So I went back and there was no chance. I did nothing. And I was so frustrated. So after 2 months I returned to Sorn Thawee and did another 2 months. And then slowly I got the idea how to do it. But the thing is, if you make a determination to do this long and then you don't do it, your ability to make a determination again and go through with it reduces. So be careful with that. So make determination that are reachable, that are possible to reach. And I would say 5 minutes a day. And every day. So even if you are very busy with your studies or you are very sick, lying in bed with COVID or whatever, you can do these 5 minutes. And if it's when you go to bed and lie down, trying to gently be with the breath for 5 minutes. Don't do it to reach any state or whatever, but just to let this habit grow. And don't let this string you have started here rip off. So 5 minutes, but you can always do more. So you sit 5 minutes, oh now it's good, 10 minutes, 20, whatever. No problem, can always do more. But at least these 5 minutes. And you will see it's getting stronger and stronger. And then there's so many possibilities in all day long. Just walking to the bakery, getting bread, whatever, right, left. Get your baguette, you're French, partially French. You go to get your baguette, you go right, left. And if you go quickly because you're very hungry, then just running. You know that. Huh? Standing there waiting because there are many who want to get their croissants and baguettes. So then, standing. So you do your meditation each moment you can. Each moment you remember. When you are on the computer, sitting, working, thinking, contemplating, still sometimes come back. Sitting. I feel my bottom touching the chair. Or I feel my hands, my fingers on the keyboard or whatever. Just that moment is enough. It's one drop into your mindfulness jar. And this mindfulness jar will fill up slowly, drop by drop. So don't think just being aware now doesn't bring anything. No. Each drop fills it a little bit. And then you come, if you can, sometimes in a center and meditate. Would be good once a year if you can, for a few days or at least a weekend, to push it a bit, because concentration here is getting much stronger, of course. So that would be also nice if you can do that, and then go back to your normal life and do it drop by drop. Nothing is lost. One day the jar is full. Anything you want to add? Yeah.
I think what many people think when they come back home, they associate, they think like, now I do meditation, I prepare my seat, I sit, what we call formal technique, sitting, walking. So, and then before or after, they don't apply awareness. But I think in daily life, or when you're back home, you don't have time to sit long, you know. Right, 5 minutes is a very good time already, but more important is that you try to get the habit of awareness with like going to bakery or when you are alone in the bathroom, cleaning your teeth. There are many occasions where you can apply awareness. So, but we will forget it when we back home. So sometimes we make small signs or picture of a Buddhist monk or nun, and or some booklets or just a sheet of paper, be aware, whatever, you know, that we don't forget it so quick, you know. So that is much more important to get the habit being aware. Not today I have sit twice 5 minutes or twice an hour, I'm a good meditator. It's good, but the continuity in applying awareness is much more important than sitting 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour sitting in the evening.
Yeah, that's right. And the best place to do meditation at home is the toilet. Toilet meditation, I love it. Because, you know, if you are in a busy place, maybe you as a student, there are dormitories, more people stay in the same, at least apartment, whatever. There's always something going on, so not much time for, or not much peace for meditation. But the toilet is always your place. You can lock it. No one's coming to disturb you. So you can do toilet meditation. And on the other hand, it's also the best place to let go. So really, toilet meditation, number 1. Just do it also with mindfulness. That means if you have 5 other students living in the same apartment and one has diarrhea standing in front of the door, then do it with compassion and meditate after he had used your meditation room. So otherwise you get in trouble. Yeah. Other question? Good time to stop it.
We know a lot already.
Yeah.
It's good.
Have a good time. Sleep well. Oh, but don't forget, when you lie down, watch your breath until you sleep away, and not too intense so that you can't sleep, but gently. And again, check if you can see what's the last in or out breath. And know the first in the morning. Did someone else notice what was the first thing? Yes?
Is it possible just to repeat why we could, I mean, what's the good on that? I did not have it.
Why to do that? Because you don't waste the time of sleep by being unconscious. When you train that often when you lie down comfortably and be gently with your breath until you sleep away and see the last thing, then you enter this state of sleep in a conscious way, and then the whole time of sleep will be more conscious. So you might know whenever you want to turn around, then you know, wish to turn around. You make mental notes while being asleep. And the same is then when you wake up. Know what the first thing is. Know what is first, rising or falling. And then in this moment of waking up, it could be that you really enter deep concentration just that moment, because the state of mind when we go from sleep to being awake, and also from being awake to go to sleep, that is very close to a state of absorption. Mind doesn't think anymore, and you go to another state. And there it's very easy also to realize things. It's also a good moment to reach enlightenment, because the mind is in a different state that you would not so easily reach by being awake and practicing. So there is a chance. That's why I do it.
And what's then the best when you fall asleep? When it's raising or when it's lifting?
There is no best. It's just know it. Yeah, know it. You?
I think in the first or second day I recommend a small exercise which I call exercise with instant result. Did one of you ever tried it, honestly? You make me sad, really.
What?
Don't tell me to repeat that exercise. I wouldn't. Pardon? You have heard it twice already. Yes. Some people say, oh, I don't know. I'm surprised. Because when I recommend that exercise, I make it with so much loving kindness and conviction, because I'm so convinced in that exercise, because it really gives instant result for a moment. It's a easy exercise, can do it every day, many times a day.
What exercise?
What is it? Tell it.
Repeat it. There are many new ones that just arrived.
Okay, for the new
So
ones,
have a
I'll
little
repeat it.
compassion.
Okay, yes, you have more compassion than me, that's true. So, okay. How does a concentrated mind feel? So, and this exercise will show it in a very, very short time. So when you go back to your kuti, before you put in the key or open the door, you imagine in your kuti is a person lying asleep, and you don't want to make him awake. So that force you to move in a way that you make no noises. And to make no noises implies that you move very slowly. So even when you open the door, you have to do it slowly, make no noise. Opening the door itself, no noise. Entering, do it, let's say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you will see how fast the mind concentrates and how it feels, you know. So tomorrow I want to hear.
It's true, you said that the first thing. Now that I hear it again,
Yes.
you said it.
Yeah, very deep impact.
Maybe you should also take a bottle of oil if your door is squeaking like mine. You can put the oil first. Otherwise you wake that guy up. No, it's true. That's nice. Good? Good night.